when mixing, do you prefer to mix in the box or out the box? And I like to work in the box. And there's reasons behind this. And the main reason is, the big one is when it comes to mixing, there's a hell of a lot of revisions and things that need to be bang on. Look, the thing with mastering is, when you come out of the box mastering and you're mastering, very rarely you'll ever need to recall this mastering chain. With mixing, I've worked, and I had an SSL with 16 channel strips, multiple different other units, and I worked all analog, and it was an absolute pain. It took me so much time to recall sessions, and it never was the same. It never, ever, ever was the same. The only benefit that I had from mixing out the box, it wasn't necessarily a superior sound. It didn't really achieve. I didn't really feel that the SSL summing or the SSL channel strips really achieved that much more. Was the only benefit was the hands-on aspect of it, and it was a bit of fun. It was a bit more fun to actually get hands-on with a console, and that is why I bought the Avid S4. You know, this is technically a digital DAW controller that gives me full control over every parameter of Pro Tools. I can control every plugin as if it was channel strips. It's very much like working on an analog console minus the analog sound. So when it comes to working, mixing, I much prefer to work in the box, and I get a better sound than I ever did when I worked out the box. And the one thing that I will say in this is that I maybe wouldn't feel the same way if I was just mixing in stereo. The fact that I'm mixing in Dolby Atmos, I kind of have to work in the box, you know, because you're not summing on a console down to 2 bus, for instance. You're working in what is essentially 128 buses, and they're all objects. So you know, things like that. The benefits of working in Dolby Atmos and summing down to binaural stereo far outweigh working in stereo summing on an analog console. So yeah, I sold all my analog mixing console, every piece of equipment, and replaced it with the Avid S4. And I'll be honest with you, it was the best decision I ever made. I'm still a firm believer, though, that when it comes to mastering, get it out the box, get it into the analog side of the things. But I don't think that's essential in the mix end of it. Mix digital, put together a mix that's super clean, super nice, and it's just this perfect mix, and then add all the analog saturation, the lovely EQ from the analog, the compression in the analog end, the limiting in the analog end. That's where I feel that you get the most out of analog. So to answer the question, yeah, in the box for mixing. I am looking at maybe putting in some APBs, analog processing boxes, which have instant recall. For me, what it's all about when it comes to mixing is that instant recall. I don't have to charge my clients for the half hour or the hour that it takes to recall the analog equipment. So I haven't got to charge all of that because I'm instantly recalling. So things like that, it's massively beneficial to the client, because I've not got to charge. If they ask for 3 revisions, let's say there's 3 revisions, and it takes me 30 minutes each time to set up a console, you know, that's an hour and a half, and someone's got to pay for that hour and a half. Whereas on a digital console, just bang, opens up straight away, and there's minimal difference to sound, especially when you're working out the box in the mastering end. It's minimal. And if anything, you gain a better sound working in the box with Dolby Atmos. And that's, you know, I'm very, very pleased I went down that road. It's a much better, I get a much better sound than working on the SSL. And I still believe that it's very important to hit analog at some point. But I think that the importance of analog is much more important in the mastering end, and not so important in the mixing end. And like I say, mixes are quicker because I'm working on this console. Recalls are quicker because I'm working on the console. Instant recall, and I've got the ability to work in Dolby Atmos. So, all in all, digital mixing in the box, for me, is far better for those reasons.